going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Winner's Circle. We are in the tail end of the podcasting season. It's getting a little bit colder over here in New Jersey. Big Brother is done. So what are we going to do here? We're going to finish up talking about The Anonymous. I never went in and finally did the finale episode. Not going to go too much into it. And then I'm going to introduce a new segment to the channel called Reality Check, where we just talk about what is going on in the reality world, whether that's new shows, whether that's personal stuff that's going on in the world of myself, different people in the reality world. And so I'm gonna kind of introduce this, we'll call it Reality Check on the Winner's Circle. And so gonna be something new that I'm doing here. Next week, I'm gonna have my brother on the podcast. It's gonna be a nice little birthday special celebration for him, since I haven't had him on all season. And so I was like, hey, Paul, you know what? For your birthday, let's do an episode together, catching up with the Cow Bros one more time. We used to do something like that on our on the Twitch channel that I had in the past. I no longer am doing any of the streaming, but gonna be fun. I'm actually gonna bring Christy on tonight because Christy has been like weighing in on the podcast. She's been weighing in when we were talking about Big Brother because she was following along. So I'm going to bring her in here, get her, loosened up, get her on camera, see how she is in front of the microphone, see if she can bring some good points to the next segment when I roll in Reality Check and we talk about one of our favorite shows, Love is Blind. But before I jump into that, before I jump into this full episode, let's hear from this week's first sponsor, Fume. All right, listen, there's a lot of bad habits out there. We all have them. We all aren't so proud of these bad habits, but there is always an alternative. There's always a way to stop doing something bad and start doing something good, which is why I want to talk about the sponsor of this week's episode, Fume. Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a new movement towards better habits led by this sponsor, Fume. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky sodas, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint, orange vanilla, and the new peach blush. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Listen, this Fuse device is very, very interesting. It has a dial that you can choose to either open up more so you can take more air in, and it's really just about filling your mouth with air. You're not having any toxins go in, and it's a way to kind of get out of that fixation of like hand to mouth, fidget with something in your hand, want to pull something out of your pocket. Really useful alternative. And Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure safety for their products. Personally, I like the crisp mint. I'm a minty kind of guy. Sometimes I go a little crazy and I get a little fruity in there, but mostly I like the mint. And Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be the next success story. For a limited time, use my code CIRCLE to get a free gift with your journey pack. So head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com and use code CIRCLE to get a free gift with your order today. I'd like to thank Fume for being a sponsor this week. Let's jump back into it. So let's jump right into it. The Anonymous finale wrapped us up. And honestly, I felt like I saw this coming a little bit. It felt like, spoiler alert, here we go. I don't know if you've been watching the show or not, but Nina, the daughter of the legend Sandra from Survivor. Nina also played Survivor before. She wins this show. She wins the season of The Anonymous. And so I'm going to give kind of my thoughts on the show, where I think it could have improved, and what I think maybe the future is going to be for The Anonymous. So for me, the show as a whole, after watching everything, was it was a lot. To be honest, I know there's strategies and there's different things that I would have done if I was playing the show. And I know there's different things that everybody else did, on the season. But it just seemed like there's no clear strategy that can really be set in place for a show like this, because there's just too many variables, right? So there's so many variables. You have you have your handle, You have the anonymous chat. You have trying to remain anonymous so that you can, get voted out. But then everybody votes in secret. And so anybody's name can get thrown up to be put on the chopping block. So it's like people may be trying to throw people on the chopping block strictly because, they want to try to throw people off the scent of their handle. So there's just too many variables. Then you have stuff like the face off, where everybody's like in person trying to lie ultimately to see if they have a safe or an at risk, little, like, we'll call it like a hidden gem. So there's like that. It's just, there was just so many different factors that weigh into the show that it feels like it's really difficult to form a strategy or just go on to it with a strategy and allow that strategy to kind of carry you through. The handle changes throughout the season is a difficult way, but also it's very necessary. So the handle changes are necessary, especially when you bring on new people. And so I felt like, if they were going to bring on new people and there was going to be a handle change, I didn't really love that, because 3 handle changes to me is like, like it's necessary, but it just felt like, because they can't not have handle changes, because then you could see the same person become the anonymous nonstop. But it just seemed like too much. Like, even just talking about it right now, I'm just like, there was so much that would have to go through your head in the show. And it's like, if things are happening every single day, there's challenges, then there's the anonymous chat, then there's the vote, then there's the anonymous vote off. And it just was like, and the challenges ultimately, like, you realistically only want to go for safety. Like, if I was ever in these challenges, I don't care. I would never go for money in the pot, because like at the end of the day, it's about winning the show. And like, I would just always go for the safety so that I was never, at risk. But then that can also make people want to put you at risk. It's just there's too many different ways. And it's like, if I want to do this, then I'm going to go in and then I could really rub people the wrong way here. So I got to compete here. But then if I'm not safe, then I'm maybe viewed as a threat because people like me. It's just like so much that goes into it. And then the final face-off being the way that the winner is determined, I don't love that, because there's no real way to shift it. Like, if you're early in the face-off and you pick one of these at risk, or in the face-off, it was like you win or you don't win, and then somebody steals that from you, say you picked the money and somebody steals that from you, you now ultimately are done. You're done. There's no way for you to win. So being the first person to go up there and pick the money, it's like, yeah, it's easy to be like, yeah, no, I don't have it. I wish somebody would take it. It's like, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you can play that off. But if there's like 1 of 4 people, like there's only so many, like everybody knows at that point, the odds are pretty high to grab the money. So it's like, Nina was kind of in the perfect position to like have it happen. I didn't think Andy really did a good job of not hiding that he had the money. And so like when I was watching it, I was like, this dude's got the money 1,000,000%. Like, he 1,000,000% had the money. And then I knew once Nina grabbed it, I was like, Nina has it. And it's like, I don't know if as a viewer, you're able to pick up, because like they're showing you specific things. So I don't know what it was like in that moment, but it was very obvious to me. I was pretty surprised that Marcel, going last, didn't like pick up on it. And like went with his gut. Like, he went with his gut and was like, oh, I'm going to go with my gut here at the end, because this is the one that I was going to pick. It's like, bro, what? There's 4 people left. You're going with your gut. You need to pay attention to what's going on in front of you, which is what Nina did, and which is why Nina won. So I didn't love that it was a face-off at the end, because it just was like, I don't know, a little anticlimactic. And, Chris was just kind of OD in it. He was like, just like making a lot of noise, which I think really just harmed. It was like, you're doing too much. So it would have, and we had never really seen him do that before. So it was like kind of odd. So it was just like a very interesting way to end the show. But all in all, it was a very unique show. I think it has a lot. I think some of the things need to be stripped out of it so that it can be easier to just kind of follow along with, and easier to like get behind people, because like understanding the strategy of what people are doing, it's like, I get it, but there's so many different phases of the game that it was just hard to kind of follow along with, the story arc of any of the players. It was just like every episode was just its own thing. Like every episode was what's going to happen this episode versus something that I think I would rather see, which is like a storyline and a flow of how the season is progressing. So that was my opinion. Let me know way down in the comments what you guys thought. And before I jump into the next segment called Reality Check, we're going to hear from the second sponsor this week, Factor. Listen, we're all a little bit lazy this time of year. The days are getting shorter. It's colder here in New Jersey. I don't feel like leaving the house. I want to stay inside. And this sponsor helps perfectly with that. You know them. It's Factor. Power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. From breakfast to dinner and anything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Whether you like routine or enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add to your box, like keto cookies, pressed juice, and smoothies. Don't let shorter days slow you down. Stay energized with America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Because Factor's meals are chef-prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only how Factor meals taste, but also how they support your goals. Listen, Christy and I obviously love Factor. We've been eating Factor for quite some time now. It's very easy. We don't do it every week. Listen, when we need Factor, it's kind of when it comes down to we go grocery shopping and then we're like, you know what? Let's avoid having to go grocery shopping again next week. And let's add a couple Factor meals into this shopping list so that we can maybe spend some time at home, do less time running out to the grocery store, maybe spend a little less time cooking, but still eat clean, still eat good. Head to factormeals.com/winnercircle50 and use code winnercircle50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's right. 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month by using code winnercircle50 at factormeals.com/winnercircle50. I'd like to thank Factor for being a sponsor this week. Let's get back into it. I had to give Christy some of the go-tos, obviously. So we're here. We're going to chat it up with each other. This is going to be the new fun segment that I mentioned called Reality Check. So I had to go through a couple of first things first, which you might notice. This is Christy's first time here. So a couple of things you'll notice from me. A couple things you'll notice from me is I'm going to stare at the camera and you're going to see Christy staring at herself.
I was trying to look at you in the screen.
I was going through with her. We look at each other or you talk to who's going to be watching on YouTube, the audience. And so you're never staring at yourself.
I also have to say, you just brought me in here with I don't know what we're doing today.
Christy doesn't know what we're doing, and I wanted to do it that way. So I mentioned it earlier in the episode, but we're going to be talking about Love is Blind. And I wanted to see if we could just kind of get you in here, catch you off guard, and get something organic.
Some real, raw
opinions. So
you just wanted to give the podcast viewers what they want, because that one episode that I was in the background, everyone was like, bring Christy on the podcast.
I did. And, I thought it would be fun to just kind of get a piece of like the two of us on here. It's something different. Obviously, I'm going to have this new segment because for me, the Winner Circle felt like something to cover Big Brother. And now it's become this channel. And, obviously wanting to do it throughout the year, I felt like we could bring something else into it called Reality Check, where we just go through different things in the reality world because we watch a lot of different things.
We watch a lot of reality TV.
And so I wanted to kind of give a little teaser here. We won't go too deep into it, but wanted to talk about the show that we just watched and we finished called Love is Blind. Obviously, people out there watch it. I know you're watching it out there. I know you're going through Love is Blind. This season was very interesting for a couple of different reasons. One, there were periods where the show, I was into it. Then there were periods where people really bothered me. And then it finished with a reunion.
I feel like you disliked more people on this season
than
liked.
Yeah, I wasn't really into a lot of the people on the season, to be honest. But that's what I feel like this is for. I mean, there was one couple, in my opinion, that I really, really liked. And
well, that's what the craziest part is that our favorite couple, well, I guess all of them had drama in their own way, but our favorite couple the entire season was Ashley and Tyler. They were just like the most genuine.
Yeah.
They were like the best couple. We loved their personalities individually. We loved them together, and we liked them as people. Like, so a lot of the cast was like a little annoying at times, but we loved Ashley and Tyler so much as people, and it's just crazy that the way it turned out, spoiler alert, was with so much drama after the season came out. Like, about his kids.
I mean, I think
there
the
was
problem,
so much drama on TikTok.
Yeah, I think the annoying thing about that is that the woman that Tyler had his children with, his kids with, saw stuff on the show. Maybe he had not mentioned anything since coming off to her.
She said that he hasn't spoken to her.
Right.
Since.
So they hadn't spoken. But like out of like, I don't know what the situation was beforehand. I don't know how he left it with them. Like, oh, we don't know what their terms were, but they may not have been great communication before that. And then I don't like when people just like see something on a show and like Tyler's in there and trying to show respect to what's her name that he was with? Tyler's wife, Ashley. And it's like,
you got to keep Cody on top of it with the names. Otherwise, we're going to get him calling Chelsea Charlie or something like that. So that's another really important reason why I'm here now.
And I just didn't like that. Like the baby mama from outside was like trying to be a thing in the news and trying to like call Tyler out. To be a thing in the news. Why do you put stuff out there? Why do you put stuff out there? You know that people are hot. You know that the news and the media is looking into these people because they just were on a show on Netflix. So that to me is like,
she was doing it for the views?
That to me is like you want to drag somebody's character who was clearly somebody that was really good to you.
Yeah,
like somebody that was really there for you and for your kids and for his kids. And it's like just because he went on this show and then really hasn't reached out to you, it's like you want to drag him and it's like you want to what? Make him look worse or what? Make yourself look something like I don't like that stuff. I think
she said she was unhappy with the false narrative being told through the TV show, which was that he didn't know his kids. He was just a sperm donor, when to her kids, that's like an important person in their lives. So that seemed to be why she wanted to come clean, because she was like, Tyler saying on the show that they don't know what he looks like. He's never been in their lives, XYZ, when the reality is he has been in their lives, and the first pregnancy was the donor idea. The second pregnancy, they just got pregnant together. So he's actually the dad of the two younger ones. So it was very much that the story that was told on Love is Blind wasn't the truth. So I feel like she, or at least what she said, is that she was coming out to tell the truth because she wanted to speak her truth. And
she wanted to speak her truth.
Yeah, the whole storyline that was told on the show is not what's true to her family.
I get it. I'm with you on one thing.
It was like, ooh. Yeah. I really thought they were like the most honest couple and like.
But I'm with you on one thing. And that is, it's unfortunate that the kids would have to watch that and see somebody that is really, it's their father and in their life and all that. Can I finish?
But the little ones.
I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish my. This is how this works on here. I'll finish my thought. And every time you interrupt, I'm going to give you an oops. I'm going to take that from somebody else.
Yeah. Where's that from?
Don't interrupt when I'm in the middle of a thought, because then, oops, we don't get to finish the thought.
Is the oops part that if I interrupt?
It's a comedian. It's a comedian thing.
Will you forget?
And I could lose my train of thought. Anyway, see, I lost my train of, I don't even know what I was just saying.
Train of thought's a tough one.
My train of thought is gone now. I can't remember what I was saying. I think I was saying the kids, I understand that is tough for them to watch, and it's really difficult because then it's like, why would that be said? But it's like, shouldn't that be something that you deal with internally? It's like, this is TV. This isn't real. It's something that they had to think of in the moment and portray because they wanted to try to protect everybody and make the kids not be a highlight and a focus. And this woman ultimately came out and made all the kids a focus and then brings all this negative attention to them. So
you're saying that
it's like
mom should have just...
She could have just been like, hey, why did you say that? Why would you?
Onto social media.
I absolutely think that. And that's where it drives me nuts, because it's like they dealt with their own way. It was on TV. Honestly, I wasn't even thinking based off of how they did it to like go and search about the kids and the family and then the mother of the kids. I wasn't even thinking to do that. And then the mother coming out about the whole thing made me be like,
no one would have searched.
Yeah, she brought it.
Search and looked for that. It found me on my FYP. and people texted it to me because we've been so into Love is Blind.
Yeah.
But I think that was like one of the craziest post-show twists. But it's very interesting how on the finale they explained that Tyler and Ashley explained that,
and I loved it.
That Tyler never really lied to Ashley. They just lied to the cameras.
And that's what made me, and that really made me feel how I feel now of like she brought everything and any negative attention and all this stuff. She probably brought hate to Tyler and Ashley, probably brought hate on them. It's like probably made it tougher. Now the kids are super young, so they're not going to deal with this, but it is something that they'll deal with when they get older. But there's all this time to show. It's like, and hey, listen, as they get older, it's like, this was a show. This isn't real. And I still think he's going to be involved in their life.
Yeah, I think she's hurt because she said, allegedly, that he hasn't seen them or like talked to the family since a year ago, since he went to film the show. So it's like, whoa, you just like disappeared from your kids' lives because the two younger ones, reminder, are his kids.
Yeah, that's tough. And if he did do that, then honestly, that would be like a knock on him for me because I liked him all season long. And I'd be like, well, just because you go on this show and you meet, your wife, that doesn't mean that your kids just kind of like your other kids just go right.
And I feel like Ashley is so awesome. Like I feel like she would support.
I agree.
Being in the kids' lives. Like I just think she's awesome. Like obviously they got married, so even if she didn't know the full truth, it's like she's not just gonna go back on it now. She got married. She made a vow. She's not trying to just like get divorced after a year. Mm-hmm. But it also makes me feel like based on the way she portrayed it on the finale that like they're good because like she I feel like is really real. Like she wouldn't put up with it if it was like lies and shadiness going on.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So like I don't know. She's still my favorite and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they're still my favorite couple, even though like that really threw me for a loop.
Yeah, I don't think the couples on this show will last. I don't think that's what happens on this show. I think
they're married. Do you think they're going to get divorced?
Yes. I mean, how many couples are still together from Love is Blind, like in the history of Love is Blind?
Pretty much all the ones that got married, I think.
I don't think so.
We only started watching Love is Blind maybe 3 or 4 seasons ago. We didn't watch from like season 1.
I would have to look it up. But anyway, we're going to shift over now to the other couple that is really the attention grabbers and the drama. And that's going to be my boy Nick and Hannah. And there's really only one statement.
I turned you from a boy to a man, Nick.
Nick, yeah. There's only one thing that I have to say about Hannah and Nick and really like the thing that we saw during the season and then what we saw on the reunion. And that is there is a massive difference between being direct and being condescending and being nasty and speaking down to somebody.
I don't want to
There is a big difference between how she was acting and calling it to be direct, but actually just being condescending and being horrible towards somebody else. There is being direct doesn't mean you have to put somebody down, doesn't mean that you have to speak down to somebody. It doesn't mean you have to put yourself above. But that's not being direct. It's like, then it's just like, I don't like you and I thought I was better than you. I'm going to speak down to you. Don't match that to me being direct.
Is probably what should have happened.
Yeah,
she didn't like that he was like, I don't want to be mean, but he was like a man child. He was like, didn't have any responsibilities. I mean, he was 28. You were kind of like that at 28.
What are you talking about?
Living with the parents.
So? That's what I'm like, so? Just because he's living with the parents, he doesn't have responsibilities?
How old is he? I don't want to be wrong. I don't know if he's...
I think he's around 28, 29.
Nick. I want his age. Oh my God, I can't type on here because of the angle. Age. Oh my God.
All right, you know stop. What? You're done. You're done. You don't know what you're doing.
No, it's the angle of the keyboard. I'm very much like off to the side. Dorka. 29.
So wait a minute. Because he lives at home, that's a bold statement. At 29, just because you live at home, you don't have responsibilities.
He didn't really
You don't have responsibilities. So he didn't have a job. So he didn't have any responsibilities.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah, he's a realtor.
So he doesn't have a car. He doesn't have anything. He has no responsibility. He gets dropped off.
He does.
He gets dropped off everywhere by his parents. So just because he lives at home, just maybe has something a little bit more to do with a financial situation. And if you're not with somebody, you just live at home.
Dropped off everywhere by his parents.
Yeah, he has responsibilities.
He's got.
I'm being sarcastic. He's got to take himself from A to B. He's working a job. He's in real estate. Like
okay.
literally, and that's the thing is like, just because she moved out, like, and I think that's a lot of times like where people equate their like responsibilities, quote unquote. It's like, just because you live on your own, that means you know how to handle responsibilities and you're more mature than somebody else.
Well, it
That
does
has
make
nothing
you
to do
more
with
in
it.
your adulthood era than, still being like that in between. But I feel like, okay, this is
Wait,
a
no,
hot
I
take.
want you to explain.
I think I'm the only person who like empathizes with Hannah's side after the reunion. I didn't during the season. I thought she was like so hilarious but like mean. But also it was funny because with his parents around, she was like so sweet. Wait, his mom was absolutely the sweetest. But once the reunion came, first of all, she did say, I'm very direct in the way that I speak, and I should find ways to speak more kindly and not sound so mean. And like she did say that, and people acted like she still wasn't owning up to it. And I was like, she is. She's saying that she's very direct, and sometimes it comes off mean. And I think that she is being direct. She was saying how she really felt, whether it was like right or not. She really felt that way about him. And
But the thing is that drives me nuts is like, what was she? She felt like she turned him from a boy to a man. In what way?
that was like a very like drunk
In what
conversation.
way? There was
It
like
so silly.
nothing that she had done to allow, what, because she told him to take out the trash. It's like I don't understand. It's like he didn't know how to cook. Like, these are normal things. And acting like he had zero responsibility. It was just strictly because I think it was that she didn't like that he lived at home. And I also think there might have been some things behind the scene that we weren't really privy to, which might have been things she was hearing from other people about what he said. And I think there was one thing that I didn't love about Nick, and it's that the one thing I will give Hannah credit for that Nick was not, that I won't give him credit for, is that Hannah vocalized everything in her confessionals on the show
to his face
about what she was feeling. She talked about how maybe she felt about his looks, and it didn't feel like he did that as well, because maybe he was trying to make himself come off in a certain light.
He wanted to be the most famous person on Love is Blind.
Yeah, he wanted to be the most famous person on Love is Blind, which, like, let's be honest, people, you're going on reality shows, you're going on Netflix, like, just because somebody else wrote it down, to call them out is embarrassing, because all these people are going on these shows, I hate to break it to you, so that they have TV time. That's why we all go on it.
Yeah,
we all go on it for TV time.
If you are going to be on a television show, you're going to be an entertainer.
Hello.
Like,
so to
entertainment, it's kind of like, it's like getting a job on TV.
To patronize him for wanting to be the most famous person on Love is Blind and act like you didn't want some sort of fame from being on Love is Blind is hypocritical and ridiculous, in my opinion. Now, for him, he wasn't being his truest self. I genuinely feel like he was saying stuff about how he was maybe misled by her looks, and then was acting like he never said anything. And I totally think he did. And I wished he would have just like manned up about it and been like, yeah, okay, well, you were describing yourself as this, and I had a certain look in my head, and I was doing the same thing, so it is what it is. My bad. I didn't call it out. And it's like, I think that would have made me feel better about him, but he just kind of seemed a little phony for that, and all the other guys just kind of stunk other than Tyler.
Ever since Nick said that he was better looking than Travis Kelce, and Hannah, I'm sure you're better looking than Taylor Swift too. Ever since that line, he was done for me.
Yeah.
Like, you're out.
Well, yeah, when anybody says anything about Taylor Swift, they're done for Christy. But
it wasn't like, I don't know. I did kind of feel like he was like low-key trying to diss them and say that they're not that good looking, first of all, which is incorrect. And secondly, I think that most people can agree that him saying he's better looking than Travis Kelce is misleading.
Interesting. I agree with you.
Confidence on 100.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for everyone.
Good for him. Also, I got to put the nail in the coffin on this one. Like, she's not taller than he is. When she's in heels, she's taller, maybe by like a hair. But if he has any sort of shoe on that gives him a little bit, he's going to be taller than her. So it was interesting as she was like, I'm bigger than him. Yeah, he's not
like a short guy.
Yeah, he's not super short. So, but it was really interesting. And it was kind of drama. I think our next thing we're going to get into is Love is Blind UK. Apparently, it's pretty good.
We've heard that the cast is more likable and maybe like the connections are more genuine. So I'm excited to see how the season goes.
All right. Well, I actually am not that into it, to be honest. I think I would rather watch like Love Island UK because I've heard that's like bombshell.
You want to watch Love Island in the winter? I'm down. Let's absolutely do it.
I just feel like it's such a commitment. It's a lot of episodes.
A lot of episodes. But we could do it.
I mean, I wish they were shorter episodes, and I would get into it a little bit more. But
think of it this way: you and I have binged all seasons of a specific show over time. So like one season with a lot of episodes we could do. Like we binged all of New Girl beginning to end. We binged all of Friends beginning to end, 10 seasons.
Yeah, but
I'm not intimidated by.
Yeah, you're not. You
season
always
of Love Island.
you always get into this stuff. But listen, all right, we're gonna wrap that up there. This is obviously a new dynamic. We're gonna have to work on this dynamic. Like Christy normally,
I don't know. I like to come in with a plan. Like
Christy normally interrupts me when we're in our day to day, but when we're in a podcast setting, it's more so like I'm like, why are you interrupting me? So we're gonna have to work on this. We're gonna have to practice this in our day to day now. Like there's gonna be our normal husband and wife where it's okay that you interrupt me at every second of the day, and then there's gonna be the podcasting husband and wife where it's like, let me actually finish my thoughts here, or it's
you know what I think it really
difficult
is.
to the flow. I didn't even finish my statement there, and she was interrupting me.
Okay, but do you know what I think?
What is it?
Is that like when you are talking to someone, you don't just go on a rant and do like a whole monologue. Like you talk back and forth. Like you're saying something about Hannah, and I'm like, yeah, and I think that I agree with Hannah, and you're like, no, I agree with Nick. Whatever. Like a real conversation. You don't just. You're used to doing the podcast alone, so you're speaking like you're doing like a whole.
I'm not used. This was the first time I do the podcast alone. Point number one.
You did it all summer.
Your points are so null and void. How a conversation goes is you wait for the other person to finish speaking before you speak. That's a normal thing. Just because you do not do that to me doesn't mean that that's how it works in the outside world or the podcast world or anything. If we're having a conversation, I talk, get my thought out, you react, you talk, get your thought out, I talk, and then we're playing a game of ping pong.
Yeah, but it needs to be faster ping pong.
No, yeah, because you're
pinging so long, and it's like it can never get to the pong.
Because you need to let me get my thought out, and sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to kind of go through the ebbs and flows of what I'm trying to say, and instead you're just like, I'm gonna jump in right now.
I have a short attention span.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that.
And so
people.
do the viewers. That's how I know. That's why every time I'm watching TikTok and I do the little where you hold it down and it goes in double time, Cody's like, "What are you watching?" No, see,
this is the Christyism. This is like she watches her TikToks
in 2 times speed.
Like that's how you know she just can't deal with like a normal flow of things, which is why she interrupts, which is why she cuts me off, which is why we're watching shows. And we have to pause it because I'm like, I missed what's going on the show. I don't see what just happened because she wants to talk over the shows and get her thoughts out.
Yeah, I like to talk about the show sometimes as we're watching.
Yeah, she does do that. And honestly, sometimes it drives me crazy. Sometimes I'm in for it, but sometimes I do it too. So I can't blame you for that because that's a me thing too. I do that as well. But the craziest thing is that's one of the things where I do it and I'm okay with it. But then when she does it, it bothers me.
Oh, that was so sweet that you admitted that.
All right, cool.
That was great self-reflection. You know what's my favorite thing to do?
Self-reflect.
Not favorite. No, my favorite. One of the funniest things is when we're watching a movie for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm confused and I go, wait, is he the killer? Is this going to happen? Did he lie about that? Whatever. And I'm asking Cody a question and he's like, I'm watching it for the first time too. But sometimes I think that I missed something or I wasn't connecting. So I thought maybe you understand it better and that's why I ask. But it's funny because
she does this all the time to me.
So mad every time.
I'm like, why are you asking me questions about the movie that we're watching together for the first time?
Because maybe you understand it better because I don't know.
You know when these questions tend to come into 2.5 minutes into the movie. She's asking me stuff about future plots of the movie immediately in and I'm like, we just turned it on. So she does that to me and it's very funny. And
I realize right after I do it and I go, oh wait, you don't know.
Yeah. The other thing she does is she'll get lost. She doesn't realize because maybe the movie, there's a lull in it and she doesn't have the attention to keep into it. So she'll get on her phone and then she'll miss something and then she'll ask me a question and that drives me loco. So a little bit of an insight into our personal life as well. But I think that's why we
Not really personal life.
we
Just
balance.
that's funny. Like a couple things.
How is that not really our personal life? You know what? This is also what she likes to do. She likes to correct me when it's like not needing to be corrected. She just corrects me all the time. That is our personal life.
How much
what
better
would you
though, did I
describe
get
that?
at that?
You not good. You just did it the first chance
I
you
used
got
to,
on here.
if Cody would be like, we were in line for 40 minutes, and I'd be like, no, babe, it was more like 30. And then I realized
I'm like, oh, thank you. And I'm trying to
that
tell a
those
story
changes
here.
those differences don't matter. So I got a lot better at that.
She has not gotten better at that.
That's so
You know what I've gotten better at? And this is what's so funny about relationships. I've gotten better at just letting it go and being like, fuck it. Gonna have to let that one go.
Me too. That's why now I don't say the difference between 40 minutes and 30 minutes because I'm like, doesn't
Or
matter.
I just don't call you out anymore.
No, I don't do it
Anyway, I appreciate you joining us on this segment of Reality Check as a part of the Winner's Circle. Obviously, I mentioned that I'm going to be having Paulie on the podcast for his birthday, whether that's next week or the week after. Make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you turn on those notifications and subscribe. Babe, any last
What
words?
are you and Paulie going to talk about?
Life.
You're going to talk about life?
Life, the challenge, everything.
Oh, and the challenge. I want to come on with a game plan. Like, I want to be like, today we're coming on to talk about XYZ.
I literally told you we were going to talk about Love is Blind. What more of a game plan do you need? That's called you taking what I said, we're talking about Love is Blind, and start coming up with your own talking points. It's a podcast. I can't give you the talking
but you're
points.
the host. I'm like the guest. You're supposed to not talking points, just like a plan.
Anyway, you had a plan. Talk about Love is Blind.
I know what my ending statement can be.
Yeah.
Whatever we should talk about next time, or reality shows that you guys like that we should watch and talk about, leave them below. Or if there's anything else that we should talk about.
Christy, literally, Christy just stares at herself the entire
I don't know
time.
where to look.
You look at the camera.
No,
you
it's
look
so hard.
there.
So I was kind of trying to look at you,
No,
but then
you
I was
can't,
looking at
Christy.
myself and be like, wait, is my hair right or something?
Yeah,
So it's very hard.
you're gonna drive me loco if that's gonna happen.
Well,
so stare at the
usually
camera.
when I'm recording myself, it's on TikTok and you're staring right at yourself, so I'm not used to this. I almost think we should cover this so I don't look at it.
No, you got to learn to not look at it. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I will see you next time.